focus. We're about to start.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم برحمة وعلى محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today's sponsors are Brother Abid and Sister Myra Mal, Mr. and Mrs. Faiz Zaidi, and Brother Asad and Sister Medina. Please recite Surah Fatiha for all the sponsors, Marhumin, specifically Yusuf Bharmal, Habiba Bharmal, Akbar Bharmal, Khairan Nisa Suji, Anwar Suji, Daniel Nanjiani, Mirza Abul Hassan, Parveen Begum, Qasim Ali Sagarwala, Fatima Sagarwala, Noshin Hassan, Sayyid Muhammad Haider Naqvi, Sayyid Purnur Ahmed Zadi, Zia Ahmed Zadi, Jamal Ara Rizvi, Ali Suhra, Tajamul Hassan Rizvi, Ghulam Hussain, and all the marhumin for there's no one to recite Surah Fatiha. Also, please register for Ashur and Shabi Ashur programs. There are two separate registration forms. Shabi Ashur will be in Mobile Restaurant, and the Ashur morning Majlis will be in Fallon Sports Park. Also, Cairo representative will be setting a table outside. So if you need any legal or civil rights assistance, please visit them. And with a loud salawat, I would like to welcome Maulana Hadi Yasin to please bless us with a speech.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبا القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة لأعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى لقاء يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر الأهد مني لزيارتكم altogether إن شاء الله. السلام على الحسن وعلى علي بن الحسن وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Alhamdulillah, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this great opportunity once again. Being present in the majlis of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salatu wassalam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us inshallah the opportunity to increase the love and the muhabbat of Sayyid al-Shuhada while pay attention to ma'rifah, the knowledge, the teachings, and the recommendations from Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, inshallah. We ask him to help us to be able to follow this path and inshallah be able to become successful in this path in dunya wal akhirah, in this world and hereafter. Barakati salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad. Smart people, those who would not bypass the daily events, yearly events, the events in their lives that happen around them, are those people who ponder upon any sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything happened to them, they try to interpret it for themselves. It can be as simple as falling down, not understanding and hitting the head somewhere to the wall or something. They try to pay attention to see what is that message to them. And the reason is that they rotate around the topic of the spirituality and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their lives. Allah is not an archive in their lives that whenever they need him, they pull out the file, they use him and pull it back. Some of us, the way that we look at God is this way. Specifically, nowadays, if you don't need God, if you don't have any requests, anything, so there's no reason to be connected. If there's any hajah, any request, if there's any trouble, then you might need it. I'm talking about the believers, because these believers, they don't even believe in this concept, right? You pull out this concept, like in math, like geography, like anything else, right? And then you pull it back when you don't need it. However, this is not a true way of looking at the divine topics on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is in the center of our lives. He was in the center of the life of Ahlul Bayt and the prophets. That is why they could reach the highest level of salvation. The topic that we are following is the modern era of ignorance, the modern era of Jahiliyyah, by comparing the first era of Jahiliyyah and ignorance, which was pre-Islamic era. We're trying to understand the similarities between this time and that time, because first and foremost, we heard that Quran chapter 33, ayah 33, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet's wife, وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. Last night we talked about this a lot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them, the wives of prophets, and to all women, do not show off, do not show your beauties. Tabarruj. Tabarruj, we said that literally by translation means burj, means tower. Something somewhere that everyone can see it. Not just that, the beauties, it can be the life, it can be anything else. That was the way that the era of Jahiliyyah, ignorance, that time before Islam, people were doing it. Women were doing it, right? Showing off everything, all the beauties. And nowadays, it looks like it's worse. Rasulullah, he said himself, the hadith, that I am the prophet, I've been raised between two eras of ignorance, which the second one is more destructive than the first. Well, the first one we understand is the pre-era of, the pre-Islamic era. But the second one, or the other one, we have to figure out when is that one, right? We hear that Imam Hussein والسلام, he said that in the, not himself, in the Ziyad of Arba'in, we recite, لِيَسْتَنْقَذَ إِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَ وَحَيَّرَةِ الضَّلَالَ. He bestowed his life for the sake of removing people from jahl and ignorance. And someone can ask a question. This is just a reference from previous topics we had, lectures we had. Someone can ask a question, well, the jahiliyyah and ignorance was gone with the Prophet's presence. Yes, it was gone with the Prophet's presence. Then what happened is, what kind of jahl is that? What kind of ignorance is that? That Imam Hussein ﷺ is coming to fight with it, right? To remove people from jahl. We're going to talk about it tonight. Last night, again, we talked about, in this night, we're talking about similarities. Last night, we talked about this aspect of Ayah Quran, chapter 33, Ayah 33, right? Ayah Tathir of Ahlul Bayt, the first part, that لا تبرجنا تبرج الجاهلية الأولى. At that time, people's beauty and life was here. Everybody could see it like a tower, right? And it looks like nowadays it is like this. In social media, everywhere, the life of people and us, it's so much bolded in front of everybody. Please look at me, look at my life. Yesterday I was traveling, tomorrow I'm going to buy this. Yesterday, I'm a friend with this person. I'm not friend with that person. So the life is like a board, a tower. Everybody can see it, right? Although this tabarruj is about the hijab, it's about not showing the beauties, but we're trying to see if we can expand it as well, right? And when we come to the topic of sexual immoralities, we talk a lot about this, but nowadays is way horrible than before. And we talk a lot about this. Just some interesting statistic. I did some research to tell you this tabarruj. What is this that people trying to show themselves, show off, show everything, show the beauties, and where that comes from even psychologically? Some research very interesting that $300 billion per year has been spent on cosmetic products. $300 billion. Can you imagine? $16.5 million for the cosmetic plastic surgeries in the United States, just in the United States. $16.5 billion. Can you imagine how many faqir, how many poor people, how many of the crises in the world can be solved with less 1/3 of this money? I'm not saying the whole, right? And what is it? Not the plastic surgery that included in, the accident or something. No, I had a list of that with the number: breast augmentation, liposuction, eyelid surgery, facelift, tummy tuck, breast reduction. $16.5 billion per year spent on this. And now you tell me, at the pre-era of Islamic pre-era, the first Jahiliyyah, how much people were spending on tabarruj? How much people were spending on showing off and doing something, right? And how about today in the entire world? And we mentioned at that time, the first era of ignorance was about what? It was about limited number of people, right? In a small region, they were having some ignorant activities. We mentioned a lot of things, and step by step, we're going to go to others, such as burying their own daughters alive. This is the most important one, everybody know, right? So, but at that time, limited number of people in a smaller group, a smaller region. But now it looks like the ignorance becomes so wide, so big. This scope is so so wide around the world. Everyone is included, and let's include the Muslims as well into this. Well, at that time, Rasulullah says the second one, or the other one, or we call it the modern era of ignorance, is worse, is more devastating and destructive than the first one, right? Because we're going to talk about it. The first one was among the group of non-believers, disbelievers, kuffar, right? But today, we see sometimes the believers are part of this era of ignorance as well. So that was the first, that was the last ayah that we talked about. Again, the whole last night was about it. The other ayah of Quran, chapter 48, ayah 26, that is the topic I want to talk about tonight, and then go back and talk about it, what happened and why did ignorance came back 50 years after the demise of Rasulullah to beheading the son of Rasulullah, Imam Hassan, with the worst type of killing, right? And what kind of jahl and how it came back. But before that, the other aspects of ignorance that we talk about it, we're going to talk about it, is this, that Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إِذْ جَعَلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ بِقُلُوبِهِمُ الْحَمِيَّةَ حَمِيَّةَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. When the disbelievers develop in their hearts indignation, the anger, the hate, this indignation, the indignation of ignorance, ghadab, hamiyah, or ta'assub, different ways we're going to, hamiyah in general, prejudice, right? People at that time, their lives was their insan-centered, not God-centered. It was all about themselves. They were so sensitive that they were becoming so angry when someone's saying to them about anything. It was all about their tribes. It was all about their generation. It was all about their ancestors. They were so into these things, so angry, so much ghadab, and so prejudiced. We mentioned that, and again for reference, Aus and Khazraj, before Islam, they were part of ignorance, right? The two tribes. The camel of one of these tribes go to the land of other one, eats from the grass of the land of the other tribes without a permission. 200 years of fighting and killing each other for the sake of that. And we mentioned ignorance is not in front of knowledge. It's not in front of ilm. No. Don't make a mistake. Because at that time, we had some people who were not, yes, maybe the majority were not, but some people, they had the knowledge at the time of Imam Hussein. Many people were scholars in Kufa, in Medina, they didn't help him, right? According to Quran, ignorance, it's against the wisdom and aql, it's against hilm and patience, and against many things else, right? So Quran talks about it, do not become so angry or so prejudiced like the prejudice of era of Jahiliyyah before Islam. If today you tell someone who is a doctor, who has PhD, if you call them without that title of doctor, they will become so upset. Well, we literally have some people, like an MC forgot to say a doctor when they went out to someone, he called them, say, come here, Dr. So-and-so, go announce it again. So prejudice about the titles, about the family, about everything that we have nowadays, right? It is just, if you go tell someone anything, criticizing or anything about the color of their shirts, how much angry and upset they'll get, right? But hey, you're criticizing me, it's not your business. We hear this a lot, it's not your business. That's why Amr Ma'ruf, enjoining to goodness and forbid evil, becomes so, unfortunately abandoned in our societies, because people are afraid of the reaction, which you should not be afraid of the reactions, right? If you talk to someone about the way, their style, how they look like, remember that topic I said in parenting? It's just taking, you go to someone that says, you know what, by the way, this type of parenting that you have is not okay. Don't tell me how to parent my children. It's not up to, it's not your business. It's all about us, individualism. It's about ourselves, right? Inshallah, not us. I mean, like about the world nowadays. This word is not your business. We hear a lot, right? Left and right. Although Amir al-Mu'minin Imam Ali said, so have and save your prejudice only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To help, to support Iman, to help poor people, to support Islam. Have this hamiyah, have this passion only for the sake of Allah, nothing else. But it looks like nowadays it's just into different things. And you see how nowadays the topic of suing someone is so hot? As soon as they do something else, sue them. As soon as something happened, I'm going to sue you. As soon as a husband says something to wife, or wife says something to husband, divorce. I knew we're not good for each other from the beginning. Well, sweetheart, it's just 2 months that you're living. I had a client 2 weeks after they got married, they wanted to get divorced. I said, guys, how did you even have time to fight with each other? And they got divorced. Why? Because the ego is so bold, it is so high, the ignorance in this aspect, the arrogance is so much, the ego is so sensitive in Western culture that as soon as you touch the ego, hey, don't touch me. One of the major things in the modern era of ignorance is the ego is so big. So big. You want to see it in the families again. So sensitive. I have a lot of clients, men or women, different. It's not a normal of sensitivity. It's not a normal of anger. Well, as soon as the spouse says something, I can't tolerate it anymore. Who are you to talk to me this way? Well, calm down. Let's talk about it, right? Well, I had a client, a few days ago, and then the wife was saying that, when you are talking to our child, you shouldn't, yell at him. And then he started getting to the wrath and rage, like, you are telling me I'm not a good father? She's like, I didn't say that. I was like, no, she didn't say that. Why getting so angry? Calm down. The ego, right? The nafs. Don't tell me anything about myself. Al-qadhabu. Look at this hadith. Al-qadhabu yufsidu al-albab wa yub'idu min as-sawab. Amazing. Qadhab and anger in this prejudice here in this sense what does it do? Yufsidu al-albab, would corrupt the aql and wisdom. Very interesting. Anger, at a moment that it comes, so if inshallah everybody see these things, because we might get busy with a lot of things, not understanding these things. When the anger comes, when the qalb comes, when the prejudice comes, what would corrupt what? The aql and wisdom, where you need to fight with jahl and ignorance, will come and totally covers it. And it takes you away from min as-sawab, from righteous act, from doing something good and khair. There was a dialogue between Shaitan, in one of the traditions, between Shaitan and Nuh, Prophet Nuh. Beautiful. Shaitan said, Nuh, I want to give you advice. Advice? That's a nice story of how you want to do it. Anyhow, says, I want to give you advice. What is your advice? 3 things. In these 3 occasions, I'm the closest to you. Shaitan is saying, in these 3 occasions, I'm the closest to you. Number 1, when you are angry, know that I believe, remember me, I'm so close to you. Second, when you are judging between two people, when you're a judge between these 2 people, husband and wife, friends, whoever, make sure, remember me, I'm right there. I'm right there. And the third, when stranger men and women are alone in a house somewhere together, I am right the third person. What happened? 3 occasions. 1, when you're angry, remember me, I'm right there. Second, what was the second one? What is it? When you judge people, I'm right there, be careful. My friends. You know what? Your brother is having issue with his wife. Your son or your daughter is having issue with sons. Your friend has issue with her husband, with their wife. And then you're like, what? You're biased towards them. I'm right there. And the third one, when the strangers, men and women, they're together. So this ta'assub, this prejudice here, and what happened and how it's affecting, and how careful we have to be able to make sure that we work on this nafs. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is saying that, so what? I love a person, I love a friend, man ahda ilayya uyubi, the one who comes and gives me my deficiencies. Very beautiful term Imam uses. Ahda, hadiyya. Give me the what? My deficiencies. You're actually helping me. You're benefiting me. I need to appreciate you when you come, not to fight with you. Why did you say that to me, right? Let's go back to that society, because what we're doing, the era of Jahiliyyah and coming back. We said that, how is it possible that Rasulullah came, removed the jahl and ignorance from the society, less than 50 years, we see that right actually after the demise of Rasulullah, the jahl is coming back to the society, and it's the highest and the peak in Karbala, at the day of Ashura. Well, the way that we mentioned, the way that Rasulullah, he fought with ignorance and he removed the ignorance was with one thing, bringing Islam. And what was Islam? What is Islam? Islam is included what? Aqidah, the beliefs of Islam. Second, the fiqh of Islam, the regulations. Third, akhlaq and moral aspects. So literally Rasulullah, mostly with the aqidah at that time, not the fiqh, with aqidah and with akhlaq, with moral and with beliefs, Rasulullah removed jahl. That means whenever you're close to the akhlaq of Islam and aqidah of Islam, and now the fiqh as well, you are away from the jahl. We created this equation, right? And whenever you are far away from this two, you're closer to the jahl. Right after, the second thing is that Rasulullah himself is wali of Allah, is a guardian of Allah on the earth, right? People with the hujjat of Allah, the guardian of Allah, get away from jahl. As soon as Rasulullah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set the direction of the Islam to go towards the direction of imamat, that if you follow, as long as you follow imam, the one who is in charge of the guidance of the society, you're away from jahl. But some people remove or change, alternate the direction of Islam towards a wrong direction. Instead of getting away from jahl, they got closer to jahl. We got a lot of information to the extent that the Khalifa to Rasulullah, the Caliph of Islam, is Yazid ibn Muawiyah, the one who drinks publicly, who commits haram publicly, who everything that you can imagine publicly. It's in the history. Shia and Sunni don't narrate it. What is this jahl, right? It's ignorance. This is important because discussion, we're going to talk about it. Right after, when the Bani Umayyah got to the power, specifically at the time of Muawiyah, this is an academic discussion. It's not let's get emotional because we're Shia. No, academic discussion. As soon as he gets to the power, Abu Sufyan says, as soon as the third Khalifa came, Uthman, who's from Bani Umayyah, تلقفوها تلقف الكره ولتصيرن إلى أولادكم. Now that you have the power, play with it. Abu Sufyan says, the father of Muawiyah, play with it like a ball. Pass it to your children. Do not let it come back to Bani Hashim. We mentioned that Imam Hussein, these are the references I repeat all the time. Imam Hussein is not just one person in front of one person, Yazid. Imam Hussein is a culture of Anbiya, is a culture of Iman, is a culture of beliefs of Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And Yazid is the head of the culture of kufr and disbeliefs, of Abu Sufyan, of Namrud, of Fir'aun, all the way go back. This is the same culture. Taqabul and confrontation of these two cultures in front of each other, which is khair and shar, which was there from the beginning of the time of creation of Adam and will be there ila yawm al-qiyamah. That's why Imam Hussein is alive. That's why Ashura is alive, because the Ashura and message of Imam Hussein does not belong to that. Because it's about every day. La yawm is mentioned yesterday, right? Kullu yawmin Ashura wa kullu ardin Karbala. What does it mean? Every day you see yourself in the battlefield between Imam Hussein one side and Yazid on one side. What direction, what jibha are you belong to? Who are you supporting? Because taghabul of jahl and kuf, confrontation of jahl and kuf, it's forever. As soon as Muawiyah got to the power, what they started doing, literally bringing the jahl and ignorance back to the society to be able to have a long and peaceful power. The first thing that they did, man'i tadween hadith, which started from the time of Khulafa, by the way. What happened is that they stopped allowing people to say write down or sometimes say Qala Rasulullah or write down Qala Rasulullah. Haram, and you will be punished. They punished some of the companions that they said Qala Rasulullah or wrote down Qala Rasulullah. Can you imagine? It's part of the history of Shia Sunni. With the justification that we don't want to make sure, we want to make sure that it's not going to be the hadith of Rasulullah, it's not going to be mixed with Quran. 100-something years, they stop people saying Qala Rasulullah. When you don't say Qala Rasulullah, what do you say? It's the field is ready for, forging and fake hadith, Israeliyat, right? Now we have Abu Huraira, when we have Ka'b al-Ahbar, they're coming and Allah faking a lot of hadiths. Yeah, this hadith is specifically trying to remove the hadith of the fadail and attributes of Muhammad. First thing that they did, and specifically Muhammad. Second thing, bringing the jahl back to the society. Amr ibn As, so cunning, right? Muawiyah one day said, hey, Ali is going to fight with us, like who is in the army with Ali when we can fight with him? He said, you want to make sure, you want to see if you can fight with him or not? So yeah, okay, so from tomorrow, have your, media people, let's call them, they were going out in the society and they're calling out loud the announcements. Hey, by the way, this is the new rules you have to follow throughout the city. This is send the people out and tell them from tomorrow, if you want to eat, for example, pumpkin, you need to slaughter the pumpkin in Damascus. Okay. They did it. And guess what? Some people were following it. The next day, they were Khalifa to Rasulullah said, when they wanted to eat pumpkins, first they were doing them. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Another occasion, two people came, they were fighting with each other between a male and female, camel that they had. Anyhow, it was very clear for that time that you should know what is the male and female camel. People were living with camels, right? Because today, for example, you said, for example, this is Toyota or this is Lexus, or everybody else knows, right? Anyhow, he gave the verdict to someone who said, this is my camel, and I know it's female. Muhammad says, this is yours, take it. Well, the camel was not female. The owner says, Muawiyah, this is not female. He says, I know, don't worry about this. Give it to him. I'll give you a few more camels. He gave it to him and says, okay, you're from Kufa, right? Yeah. He said, send this message to Ali. He says, I am coming to fight with you, with this ignorant people who don't know the difference between, or who don't want to know the difference between male and female camel. You should be afraid of me. And he was right. In Safin, what put Amir al-Mu'mineen army down? The jahl and ignorance of the army, not the power. Malik Ashar was one step close to away from the tent of Muawiyah to kill him. One step. That was the moment that Ibn Asis bring the Quran on his spears. And it worked. The jahl of Kufis worked. And ignorance of Kufi worked. Very interesting. There was a guy in most probably this should be in Damascus because he had a lot of ruling and power there. Mas'udi said this in the Tariq. He said that to say the jahl of people of the time of Imam, he said they asked an old guy, an old person, not a young person, that do you know who is Ali? He says, yeah, I know him. Who is he? Ali is the father of Fatima. Who is Fatima? Fatima is the wife of a prophet and the daughter of Aisha, who is the sister of Muawiyah. Yeah. An old guy, he said this. Look at the jahl of people. Don't be surprised. Remember when the Usara, Karawan of Usara, and the family of Imam Hussein who were captured, they entered Sham. One of those old guys who told Imam Sajjad said what? Alhamdulillah that you kuffar, na'uzubillah, you khariji, that means you're disbelievers out of deen, Allah took the revenge from you guys. Imam Sajjad says, come here. He says, have you read the Quran? Me, you're telling me, to who? To Imam Sajjad, you telling me, but yes, I did. Have you recited this ayah? Have you said this? Who are these Ahlul Bayt? Who are they? You're the family. You're the family of Rasulullah. Did what? Oh my God! You started doing istighfar. Oh, Yazid deceived us. ruling on the jahl and ignorance of people. That's what Bani Umayyah started doing it. And they did it perfectly. One of the most important actions of Muawiyah was to bring the hamiyat of Jahiliyyah back. What was the hamiyah? The prejudice, right? Of the ignorance. The ignorant people back. He said, as long as there's an Arab guy who can lead the salah, non-Arab cannot lead it. You see the topic of Arab and Ajam, for example, specifically in the Qiyam of Mukhtar, you hear a lot about this, right? Between Arab and Ajam, they tried to, cause chaos and issue, was because of this. The Muawiyah and Bani Umayyah, they started working at this Hamiyat al-Jahiliyyah. Let's come into our time. What kind of things are you prejudiced? What kind of things you're so sensitive about? And social media specifically, sometimes I go there to read the comments, how people talk about certain things. Again, the phones keep us busy. They don't not let us pay attention. When you use your phone, you're in a totally different world. Your ears don't listen. Your eyes would not work anywhere else. This is academic discussion experiment. You have it. When you're so into your phone, your all entries and all the aspects that you can work, they don't work properly. There was a sister who said, I was working with my phone or computer or something. He said, someone broke into the house. I couldn't, I heard it. I heard the sound, but I was so busy. It was like, it is dangerous. I mean, it has a lot of beauty. I have the phone and the smartphone and I'm using it and everything. So we have to just be careful, right? We have to be careful. You are so careful. They tell you, have you said that again? Have you been in touch with someone who possibly was sick during this corona, right? Well, what does it have to do with me? If you possibly are in touch with someone who traveled, you might be in danger. Be careful. When it comes to our physical health, we're so careful. When it comes to mental health, forget about it. I'm not even saying about what is the content in it. I'm just saying about physically how we're using it. Not hearing, not understanding, not listening. The effect of that, right? How powerful it can be to take us to the totally different world. That's why, when it comes to school, some people will take them, this is not now the issue. They see us use their phone, although they said don't bring it, use their phone during the class. When it comes to lecture, they use their phone. They don't listen. When it comes to anything and anywhere, when it comes to driving, now please do not drive and text because that's dangerous. It looks like this phone and this social media and this world are, covering the entire of our life. And you know why it's so dangerous? Because you have zero power to control it. I'll literally say it. Do you have that much power? The challenge? Get away from your phone for a few hours. It's like you get away from oxygen, right? I can't breathe. For some people, I have a lot of clients, specifically teenagers, officially are addicted to their phones. Officially, not just randomly, officially. I'm talking about, I've had some of them here. Like literally he came, right? The extent that he was using. So we were having the boys playing basketballs. So how long it takes when the ball goes to the other side, you want to bring it. How long? 5 seconds? 10 seconds? That 5 seconds, 10 seconds, he was running inside. I knew that because it was client. He was running inside, taking the phone, work with it. The ball comes, come on, going back playing. Constantly. If it's not virus, what is it? You tell me. The zombies? You heard about them? You saw the movies? The zombies are those who don't have control. They just follow certain things, right? And they want to. And the zombies are those, the virus is effective, it's contagious. One has it, give it to another one. One has it. And it has a lot of benefits, by the way. And again, please don't say Saudi said no, Molana, oh, don't use your phone or anything. No, but we have to be careful with the dangers of that. I said that before. Was working with autistic children, with families and autistic, zero function, zero verbal and zero, behavior function, and nothing. They couldn't function at all. Nothing could work. I give you a chocolate, I just go to a park, nothing. But telling them I'll give you the phone, the iPhone that time, for 5 minutes, fully function. The power of this. You can't get away from your phone. Try it. It is dangerous. It is scary where the world is going. Like I have zero control over something that belongs to me. Remember, like I said last night or maybe the night before, one day you don't have your phone, you leave it at home, it looks like you lost yourself. You keep checking your purse, your pocket, everything. Where is it? Oh my God, am I going to live? What if something, and it just said, what if something happened to me? What if emergency? Well, how many times in the last 5 years you had emergency that you needed your phone? The new era of ignorance, the modern era of ignorance comes with knowledge, comes with ilm, with science, with technology. That's why it's more, as Rasulullah says, more destructive than the first one. Because first one was like a group of, illiterate people, for example. That this one comes with group of modern people. Let's have a challenge. How about that? How many hours? Right now, I have a research about the effect of screen time and social media on families and parents' communication. I have some interview with parents, and if you're interested, I would like to have an interview anonymously with you as well. Those who have children and those who are having, screen devices at home. When I talk to parents, it says, okay, so when you're using your phone, your devices somehow, how do you feel? What happens to you? The majority are saying that I get totally disconnected from my children. So things happen around me, I don't understand. So my children call me, I don't understand. Totally disconnected, no communication. What is it? What is it that belongs to my ears, my eyes, everything? And now let's go to the content. We didn't even talk about content. We talked about excessive usage of that, right? And if you go to the content, and what a content. And what kind of jahl and ignorance it comes that celebrity that has a documentary shows their house, and again, I literally saw it. I have 4 closets. 1 closet for shoes, 1 closet for shirts, 1 closet for this, 3 fridges, 1 for the milk and stuff like that, 1 for the meat, another one for this. I have 3 stoves here. Look at this, right? When she was describing, you all know the name. When she was describing, I was getting disgust. I don't know why. It was beautiful. Look at the house, right? I was getting disgust. This became the role model. This is success in life nowadays, right? Then my young friends or my child is watching this, the brain is not developed enough to understand and distinguish between these two. We'll watch this and watch our life. Oh my God, look, my room is up to here. I have clients they're telling the same to their father, to the parents, right? So entirely our house, we have 3 bedrooms here, and you're talking over there, I can hear here. And then so we're not living them. This is the life. Who are we here? And then the beginning of children, parents issues. And then forget about the sexual content, the nudity, the pornography that we said about the modern era of Jahiliyyah. We said that the era of ignorance before Islam, were rotating around 2 things mentioned Quran says. Ghadab, anger. Second, the sexual, desires and shahawat. And I mentioned that nowadays, when you look at the documentaries, the movies and everything, these are the 2 important components that they have to play with in order to make it interesting. I said, I have a friend who's in the film industry. He said, these 2 things, if you can bring these 2 things, that makes money. I'm going to go and get to the most important part of my speech for the entire Muharram. How about that? Do I have your attention? For the entire series of lectures I have. This is the most important part. I was waiting to have it in the night of Ashura, but I'm going to say it now. How about that? The reason people got to get away from Jahl, as I mentioned, the ignorance at the time of Rasulullah, was that they followed the wali of Allah, the guardian of Allah, the imam. Rasulullah is the imam, you know that. He's a prophet and imam. They followed the imam of their time. Allah tells Ibrahim, after he passed all the tests, now وَجَعَلَنِي imam, right? Now they are following the imam, getting away from ignorance. The hadith is saying from Rasulullah, Man mata walam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliyyah. The one who dies not knowing who is the imam of his time or her time will die with the death of jahiliyyah and ignorance. Another quote, another reference. The one who dies not knowing who is the imam, and they asked Rasulullah, what kind of jahl and ignorance is this? He said the same jahiliyyah that was before. The one who doesn't know, meaning that the one who doesn't know who is the imam of his time, imam of Ash, would automatically follow the jahl because he's running away. You know this light? Turn all the lights off. Have one light on that corner. Okay? When you walk towards that light, you're getting more light and nur. When you walk away from it, you're getting away from the light, you're getting to zulumat and darkness. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is the light and the nur of the whole universe. Meaning that if you want, that implies that the entire universe is in zulumat and darkness. If you want to find your path, if I turn everything off right now, when you want to walk, how do you do it? Don't have something, right? You're looking for light, you're looking for something. If you want to make sure you don't fall down in this world, when you're walking, when you're living, make sure you find that light. And that. Man mata walam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliyyah. You need, in the most important time, the modern era of jahiliyyah and ignorance, you need to know who is your imam. You need to follow your imam. The only way that you can get away from jahl and ignorance is only and only this. Come on. No psychologist, no sociologist, no scientist, no one can help you at all to get it from. They have some benefits here and there. The only way that you can get away from jahl, as the only way people, years and years of ignorance, got away with ahkam of Islam, with the Prophet, the way that it can go away is with the Imam of us. And today, with Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam. So, Imam Sadiq, when he is describing the followers and companions of Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam, look what he's saying. There are people so strong. According to that hadith says, having iman and holding it to iman at the end of the time is like holding a hot iron ball in your palm. How does it look? How can you do it? Like imagine there's an iron ball here somewhere, right? From the fire, put it in your palm. How do you do it? You drop it, right? Beautiful, beautiful way. Only Ma'soom can say it this way. It says iman is like this. You put it the iman, they want to drop it. Obviously, it's talking about Muslims, not the Muslims, right? And it says the only way, look at the people who are so strong, the followers of Imam Mahdi, so strong people in the iman, full of yaqeen and certainty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're stronger than mountains. Nothing can destroy them. Nothing can kill them. Jahl and Jahiliyyah. We had the example of them. Who knows? 72 people, who are they? The Shuhada of Karbala. 72 people. Among them, we have businessmen, rich, Zuhair. Among them, we have great names such as Habib ibn Mudahir, Muslim ibn Aus, just so respected people in the society. Among them, we have some young, some children, some youth that they have brilliant future. But when it comes to following the Imam of their time, they drop everything. This is strong to the level that night of Ashura. Look at the Iman of the Shuhada of Karbala. At night of Ashura, when that 72 people, they definitely stayed. Yes, a lot of people were there and they left. And Imam knew that this the last number of people. Imam showed them the position in Jannah at night while they was still alive. At night of Ashura. And then Imam says, إِنِّي لَا أَعْلَمْ أَصْحَابًا أَوْ فَاوَقَ. I don't know any ashab. There's no ashab. There's no companion who's more loyal than you guys. And then compared to ashab of Imam Hussein, the ashab of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, they're in a different position. And maybe more important position. They can't reach that level, but more important position than ashab of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Nowadays, this virus that is around, you know who would survive? Only people who are careful. Correct? Anyone who has different idea, please raise your hand. We can talk about it. Only people who are careful that will survive. Right? You agree? Only people can truly survive in this dunya and pass this dunya successfully are those who are very careful. They wash their hands multiple times a day, not with water, with the water of Iman. They're smart. They understand. Nothing can deceive them. Nothing can take them away from the right path. They have masks on in front of not only their mouth, their eyes, their ears, because they do not let any virus easily come in. Because the virus of the soul is way more detrimental than the virus of the physical health. Physically, it can get better. Mentally, if someone gets sick, it's very difficult. How many of us, we put masks on, ears, eyes, when it comes to we are in this world, in this society in front of us? There's haya and chastity is lower your gaze. That means you're putting mask on. You don't look at, you know what? Hey, sweetheart, these beautiful eyes are so important, trusted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't use it for looking at junk things. Your ears are so valuable. Do not use it to listen to any junk voice. You have the tawfiq, inshallah, to listen to the voice of Imam of your time, the voice of Quran. This is your mouth. Don't open it up and say whatever comes to your mouth. It's beautiful. You can guide people. You can do the hidayah with this mouth, with this tongue. Don't misuse it. And people saw the Imam of their time. They had the Imam of their time. They stood in front of the Imam of their time. They beheaded the Imam of their time. Remember I said be very careful? We're going to Musibah. I think this is the biggest Musibah before we go to Masa'ib of Shuhada of Karbala. What I'm going to now narrate. One of the people who were with Imam Hussein, probably one of those who were looking for position, money, world, something, who followed Imam Hussein. He was still with Imam Hussein at the day of Ashura as well. At the Zuhr of Ashura, when he saw all the companions are becoming shaheed every day, one after another one, he came to Imam Hussein and says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, remember I had a promise to you that I would stay with you until the time beneficial. I can help you and be benefited. I told you. And if I feel I'm not benefiting you, I'm going to leave. Now, it looks like everybody's dying, so there's no point for me to stay here. I want to leave. And Imam Hussein is not going to force anyone to stay. Imam said, well, all right, but how do you want to get away from the battlefield? Look what they're doing. He said, I already hid a horse in one of the tents. This moment. He found the Imam. He a little bit supported the Imam. He left the Imam in the middle of the battlefield. When Hussein Hussein doesn't need help. No, that's a mistake. When he needs to help Hussein, when he needs to have help, he left the Imam Ma'soom in the middle of the battlefield. That's dangerous. That's so dangerous. This is the biggest musibah for human beings. And then on the other side, tonight I'm going to talk to you about the son of Imam Hassan, Qasim ibn al-Hassan. He was young, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, something like that. At night of Ashura, when Imam Hussein and the companion are sitting, the soldiers are standing up one after another, showing their loyalty to Imam Hussein. Hussein, if we have life 1,000 times, 100 times, they burn us, they kill us, and then we'll become alive again. And then again, we'll sacrifice ourselves for the sake of you. There was a little son of Imam Hassan in one corner, sitting. When everybody's done, Qasim will stand up. Oh, my uncle, am I going to be among those who will be murdered tomorrow, become shaheed tomorrow? Well, Imam Hussein looked at Qasim. He said, Qasim, how's death to you? You need to pass the test first. And Qasim said that beautiful statement, Ahla min al-asal, sweeter than honey to me, dying for the sake of you, O my Imam, dying for the sake of Islam, for the sake of Quran. Ahla min al-asal. At the day of Ashura, when it was the turn, Ali Akbar went and he became shaheed. And then when it was the turn for Qasim, he came to the tent of Imam. They said he was so little that the armor was so big for him. There was not an armor that could fit the body of the son of Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam. Close your eyes. I will narrate you be in Karbala and picture and beg your eyes to cry for Qasim ibn al-Hassan. He was maybe 13 or 14-year-old. He went to the tent of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Ya Am, oh uncle, give me permission so I can go sacrifice myself for the sake of you. Imam Hussein did not give him permission. Uncle, you promised me last night I can sacrifice. Imam did not give permission. Qasim, how can I give you the permission? You are the son of my brother. Your father is not here. He left the khiyam, he left the tent. Maybe very upset. How? What should I do? Some narrators said he went to his mother, the wife of Imam Hassan. He says, Mom, look what happened. He doesn't give me permission. Some of the narrators said, Mom says, I know how you should do it and how you should get the permission. There is a letter from your father, Imam Hassan. Go show it to your father. As soon as he showed to Imam Hussein, Imam kissed the letter. Hussein John, I am not in Karbala to help you except my son to sacrifice himself for the sake of you. Imam Hussein could not resist this letter, but he hugged Qasim. Both of them started crying and crying and crying. Some narrator says, Hatta ghushiya alay. They fell down. They passed out of this moment. This is the last time Imam can see Qasim. Qasim can see his Imam and his uncle.
Narrator said when he left, even the shoelace of his shoe was open. The armor was all loose on him. He's a child. But when he went to the battlefield, he got rid of many of them, as Azraq al-Shami and the children of Azraq al-Shami, until the moment that Qasim, he fell down from the horse and he called his uncle Hussein. Oh, uncle, come and help me. And those Mal'oon, whoever had whatever in their hands, were hurting the holy body of Qasim ibn al-Hasan. Imam Hussein came to Qasim. He held the head of Qasim to his chest. Hussein. And he took him back to the Darul Harb tent. Allah knows the heart of Hussein. Allah knows the heart of Zainab on that side. She's seeing what they did to the son of her brother Qasim ibn al-Hasan. You tell me, what was the problem? What did he do? What crime he committed? This young son of Imam Hassan that they wanted to behead him, they wanted to hurt him to that level. If it's not jahl and ignorance of these people, if it's not dunya, what is this for these people? Allah knows now. They said that Imam came to the tent of Darul Harb when he brought all the body of shuhada and martyrs into them. He put the body of Qasim ibn al-Hasan next to the body of Ali Akbar, beloved son of Hussein. Allah knows that Hussein maybe is crying next to the body of Ali Akbar and Qasim. One by one after another one are sacrificing themselves for Hussein. And imagine one more Agha, he's saying this. The teacher of Ali Akbar, the teacher of Qasim, who taught them how to fight. Habal Fadl al-Abbas. Allah knows the heart of Abbas. I'm still alive and Qasim becomes shaheed. I'm still alive and Qasim becomes shaheed. In front of my eyes, Ali Akbar became Irba in different pieces. The soul of Abbas is flying to go to the battlefield. He doesn't have permission yet. Allah knows the hearts of Hussein, the hearts of Zainab, the hearts of Abbas. Assalamu alaikum ya Ahl Bayt al-Nubuwwah. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بغيت وبغي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر الأهد مني لزيارتكم. Before you say salam, when you say salam ala Hussein, remember Hussein, the last moment, with the corner of his eyes, he was looking at Zainab and children. When you say salam ala Ali ibn al-Hussein, remember body of Ali Akbar on the ground. When you say awlad al-Hussein, remember Ruqayya or Sakina of Hussein, this 3-year-old daughter of Hussein. Remember Ali Asghar of Hussein. When you say Ashab al-Hussein, remember the Ashab, Habib, Zuhair, Burair. All together, raise your voice, inshallah, the eve of the inshallah. We're passing the half of this Ashara. Let's raise your voice. Say salam to Hussein. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala, loud inshallah, wa ala ashab al-Hussein. One more time. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala يا ابن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى حسين ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر ومج في عمره الشريف وزين الأرض بطول بقائه واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره وشيعته يا رحمن يا رحيم ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا الله يا رحمن الرحيم بحق الحسين بحق الزينب يا الله بحق أبو الفضل العباس hasten the duhur of our beloved Imam Mahdi. In this era of ignorance, let us be among the true followers of our Imam. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, do not let anyone from our generation be against the path of Islam, Quran, and Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, those brothers and sisters who have hajat and requests, Bahab al-Quran, give them their khair hajat. Those who are under difficulties around the world, innocent people of Afghanistan, the women, the children being tortured by Taliban, being, in the difficult situation. Ya Allah, Bahab Muhammad wa Muhammad, provide opportunity for their freedom. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman Rahim, those who are sick, cure them all at this moment, and those who passed away, send the thawab and the word from our gathering to the soul. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein. Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, 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 Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein. Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein. Oh my master, you are the lantern of guidance, you are the pride of existence. For me, you're the Lord of patience. Allahu Akbar, how could they not see all of your virtues? O son of Ali, did they not hear what the Prophet had said? I am from him and Hussein is from me. Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein. Oh my master, my life is entangled in chains. Tell me the reason for this pain. You are my hope, Mawla Hussein. Alhamdulillah, you are my relief. Alhamdulillah, you are my belief. Alhamdulillah, by your holy name, I withstand all pain and every grief. Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein, Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein. Mawla Hussein, change my destiny like your whore. My salvation lies at your door. Without you, I am lost for sure. My hopes are tied with you, show me a sign. You are the only path to the divine. No other path can lead me to the truth. Now my only hope has become your shrine. Sallallahu alayk Mawla Hussein. 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 Salawat.
صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين ويا وصي رسول رب العالمين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المظلوم، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ولد الحسين. صلى الله عليك يا صاحب الزمان يا إمام الإنس والجن يا شريك القرآن. الأمان ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد